Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Sunday Politics, a political program for the benefit of you, the Nigerian citizen. A program where you have your say on all political matters, foreign or domestic. I am Suleiman. Tonight, we discuss the appointment of a new chairman for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Last week, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed Mr. Olanipekun Olukoyede as the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The EFCC is the most well-known of Nigeria's many anti-corruption agencies. EFCC had been without a substantive head since early June, when its then chairman, Mr. Abdul Rashid Bawa, was suspended by the president and subsequently put under detention by the Department of State Services, DSS. Since then, Bawa has not been seen or heard of in public again. Presidential spokesperson Ajuri Ingelale, who disclosed the development in a statement last week, said that Mr. Olukoyede's appointment followed the resignation of Abdul Rashid Bawa. So tonight we ask, is the resignation under detention valid? Where is Bawa? What is the agenda for the new EFCC? And come to think of it, is the new EFCC chair unqualified, as some people say? Joining me to discuss all of these issues in the studio tonight is Mr. Wilson Agaba. Mr. Agaba is an economist, a business consultant, and of course, a public affairs analyst. Also with us in the studio is Mr. Kamar Ogundele. He was chief correspondent with the Punch newspaper, the politics editor at the Daily Times of Nigeria, and now group news editor for Daily Trust. Welcome to Sunday Politics.
It's my pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll jump right into it, and you will be with us in the discussion. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Sunday Politics on Trust TV, and we're discussing the appointment of the new EFCC chairman for Nigeria, or indeed for the president's anti-corruption agenda. So, Mr. Kamar, let me start with you. Usually I start from the nearest person to me, but sometimes there's only one guest, so I start with the guest. So today I start with you. So we have a new EFCC chair, but there's an incongruency here. Incongruency in the sense that the former EFCC chair was appointed for a term of 4 years. Those 4 years have just been like 2 years. I think he was appointed in 2021. So what does it mean? What is the implication, for or against, the idea that 2 years down the line, you now have to reappoint a new chairman for a crucial agency like the EFCC?
Well, thank you very much. I think the appointment actually generated controversies as expected because EFCC is an anti-graft agency which is the most popular among the anti-graft agencies. And if you look at the past, all the past chairmen of EFCC, they've always left in controversial manners. So the removal of Abdul Rashid Bawa as the FCC chairman, for those who have been following the activities at the FCC, it didn't come as a surprise.
Okay.
And also the appointment of this new substantive chairman too, didn't come as a surprise when it also generated controversies. But be as it may, it also means that there's a disconnect in the fight against corruption in the country. It means that there is something probably the president has seen which has not been made public on why he removed Abdul Rashid Bawa. It's also a surprise to me that the Nigerian Bar Association seems to have kept quiet all this while.
Interesting.
They are not saying so much. Probably they have information which some of us we don't have. Maybe probably that is why they have also kept quiet. But also the civil society organizations, they have also been quiet. So the whole thing is still emerged in a kind of that we are still not getting a clear picture of what really happened, on why the man was removed the way it was removed, where he has been kept in detention, and why the case seems not to be progressing at the court. So it's an interesting time. We have to wait and see what happens so that we can pass.
Thank you. Mr. Oldham, he raised very important issues, among which he said that EFCC chairs have always vacated the seat in controversial circumstances. And I noticed that you were nodding your head in agreement when he was saying that. So certainly controversial circumstances, but the idea of somebody being in detention and then a new one being appointed is still new, even for the EFCC, you know. But before even you address that which is new about it, what is it with the EFCC that the heads have to live in controversial circumstances? Why controversy all the time?
First, you would know that the EFCC is set up ab initio to fail.
Okay.
Why do I say so? An organization or agency that is set up to fight corruption in a country like Nigeria has a head that must be appointed by a president and who can be suspended by a president.
Interesting.
Now, what does that make of him? He will have to tread carefully to watch for the toes on which to step and on which not to step. And when corruption fight comes to that, you will always see what we are seeing in EFCC.
So what would you rather have?
I think I would rather have, I don't know how we can make that happen, but a head of EFCC that emerges without that much intervention of the presidency.
Okay.
So that the man can go for whoever is found wanting, no matter which political party he is, no matter who he supports, no matter who is his political godfather, no matter who helped him got the job or whatever. The EFCC chairman knows that I emerged through a process that is prescribed by the Constitution, so I am loyal to only the Constitution. So, and I'm going to be ruthless to anybody who dares to despite or spite this Constitution. In that manner, it is always going to be difficult for politicians to come up and begin to torpedo these agencies. Because what we have at the end of the day, you now have an agency in which nobody believes. Because they now look like a attack dog of anybody sitting in power. And if you have an attempt on somebody who wasn't in power, once the person is in power, you begin to shiver. For instance, during the Buhari administration, when Ibrahim Magu was suspended, immediately Abdurrashid was announced. I made a post on social media and I said, "Dear Mr. President, please, this man was removed from the office or suspended under serious allegations. You set up a committee to probe into this and give you a report. Now, sir, that you have appointed a new chairman, do tell the Nigerian people, is this man guilty or not?
Yes.
If he is guilty, let him be prosecuted.
Yes.
And so that it will serve as a deterrent to the next head of EFCC.
Interesting.
If he is not, sir, you owe him the duty to clear his name.
Absolutely.
This man was told in the public that he stole from the public pot of soup. And you suspended him and you say, I'm going to investigate. You investigated and you didn't come to the public to tell us whether he stole or not. He's going to live with that baggage all his life.
In other words, the report of that investigation should have been published.
Should have been public.
And where somebody is found culpable, they should
make
have been
him an example
to court.
When he is not culpable, then clear his name. But why is that important?
Can I bring in, okay, why that is important?
Why is it important? Yes. Because you need the next EFCC chairman to be able to work without fear or favor. Now, if you made the other one who stole, if you say he's found guilty, prosecute him, the new one will say, if I do the same thing, I will follow the same line.
Interesting.
If he's not found wanting and you have cleared him, the new one will say, I will step on any toe that I need to step on. If I am not found wanting, the system will always clear me. He will not have fear.
Interesting.
But if the other one is not found wanting, but you choose not to say anything, the new one will come and say, well, let me go and talk to the former boss.
Just follow the body language.
Let's follow the body language. So you choose which fight to take on. And that is not good for our country at this stage, where corruption is ravaging us almost up to 80% of every affairs in our country.
He raised a very important issue, which he detailed, such as particularly that corruption, anti-corruption is designed to fail in the country, particularly in the way in which presidents appoint EFCC chairs. And you remember Professor Atairu Jega, the former chairman of INEC, was saying much the same thing just 2 or 3 days ago, I think, with regards to INEC, that it shouldn't be the president that should be appointing INEC chairs, just as you are now saying that the president should not be appointing the EFCC chair. We'll come back to this, but I'm still, as somebody who has followed the judiciary, as a veteran judiciary person, is it really valid if somebody of the caliber of the EFCC chair, or even CBN governor, as the case may be, submit or write their resignation, which usually is not even made public? Usually, resignation documents are public documents. They are usually made a document. I'm resigning for this particular reason or for that particular reason. But this case, you find people who are in detention, who have not been seen or heard, for months and weeks, and then they resign. Is it really valid? Such resignations, are they valid from the point of view of the law?
Well, in as much that there is no contrary arguments, that there is no denial from the person who is claimed to have.
But the person is in detention. How do we know whether he has agreed or not?
Or disagreed?
It will still be in the realm of speculation to assume that he did not author the letter, because there is no word to either deny that he wrote the letter. And if peradventure he finds himself in an institution where he can speak, maybe talk to his lawyer, and his lawyer comes out to say, no, he did not author the letter, then it will become a different issue. But as of today, there is no information that he has denied writing the letter. At least he has lawyers that have represented him in court, so and none of them has come out to deny the letter.
That's for the CBN governor. The Bawa, we don't know whether he has lawyers.
Well, even the case of Bawa, when he went into detention, we have people that also came out to speak publicly that issue on his behalf that he should be arraigned if they think that he has committed any infraction. So these people, they have not come out to say that he did not author the letter, and I also believe that he has, even if the lawyers will not come out to say that he has his relatives, he can also speak to them.
But doesn't that create the impression of resignation under duress? Because it is one thing to, I agree what you're saying, that as long as there's no express denial of the action of resigning, then we can agree that it was duly or legitimately carried through, right? We understand that. But why if somebody is resigning under duress, can we then say, if somebody is under detention and they are resigning, from a post, can we say that they are resigning under duress? Mr. Wilson. Yeah.
Well, first, let me put this disclaimer. I'm not a legal luminary.
Yes.
So I wouldn't say I have the authority to declare it under duress or not. But just like you mentioned, it gives the impression. And you see, democracy is all about impression.
Interesting.
Once the impression is wrong, it's just like marketing. Once what people perceive is not what you want them to perceive or what they want to be perceiving, there's going to be a problem.
Yes.
So, and just like you say, there will be an impression that these people are being made to resign under duress. For instance, let's take one of them, for instance, Bauer. He is in detention. The agency holding him reports to the president, who first of all suspended him. And that agency determined when it is right and who it is right to come and visit Bauer. And when they visit, somebody is there to keep an eye on them. All right, so what is to be said and what is not to be said can be monitored. I'm not saying it's being monitored.
Yes.
It can be monitored.
Certainly.
So if I put myself in that agency, if I was in charge of our agency and I don't want a Bauer to say I didn't author this, I'll make sure he can't say it.
Interesting.
I'll make sure he can't say it. But I'm not saying that is what is happening.
Okay.
Another point I want to make is that, like I said, if you look at most of our laws, we leave a loophole there, and I don't know whether the National Assembly, one after the other, don't see it or they don't care. We always leave a loophole to allow for manipulation. If these people are found wanting, charge them to court. And our law ought to have been upgraded or updated to show clearly when a person is found wanting in XYZ and XYZ evidences have been found, the person should be charged to court and the person should, for the time being, relinquish the position that he is holding. This is public. It is clear. Everybody knows. So when you find yourself in that area, the law, it evacuates you even before anybody does any of these things, so that suspicions will not begin to arise.
Interesting. So, but Mr. Kamara, that's why maybe there's this school of thought, in line with what Mr. Wilson just said, that if he's found culpable of anything, he's already suspended, charge him to court. But there's this argument that it's probably in the interest of the office and of the government, to conduct these investigations in secret or under the radar, because if you publicize what maybe the sort of infractions that these public officers may have engaged themselves in, it will bring disrepute to their offices, which can have longer term unintended effects. Is there any validity in that argument? Does it really make sense?
Initially, I said that probably maybe there's a piece of information which we are not aware of, because the manner in which Bauer was hounded out of office and he has been in detention has given room to a lot of speculation, and which is not befitting of the image of the EFCC.
Yes.
It's also not befitting of the image of the country. Yes. Because we continue to have this speculation about his removal, about his appointment, because the case, he has been in detention and he has not been properly charged before the court. I think the president will do the country a lot of good if he is able to, maybe use his body language. Let the proper thing be done so that we clear this doubt.
What is the proper thing?
The proper thing is that if you have found somebody wanting and he has been investigated and you have found him wanting, he should be charged to court.
Okay. He
should be properly arraigned before the court if they have found him wanting. But keeping him in detention without taking him to court, which I believe is also an infringement upon his freedom, it's also not helping is not good for the image of the government, which has come on board with so many promises of hope. So the government, the president will do a lot of good by clearing this doubt, so that people will know that the detention of Bauer has nothing to do with his perceived actions against the interest of the president
during the elections.
During the election,
do you have that perception yourself?
Oh yes, okay, I agree. And if you see my direction, the direction in which I was driving before is clear about that.
Yes,
I have had the privilege to lead certain organizations before.
Interesting.
In whatever capacity it was.
Leadership is leadership.
I am able to meet any of the staff that work with me today, shake hands with them, drink from the same cup, and we laugh together.
Yes.
Including those whose salaries were slashed for one offense or the other. Because what I try to achieve in any of these organizations is to make the rules that govern us clean, fair, comprehensive, and transparent to all. And the process of the trial for anything is clear. So that when you commit, we tell you to look at the book. Have you committed or not?
Yes.
You will tell us, oh yes, I have committed. What is the process? The process is invoked, and we follow it to a logical conclusion. You are the one that will even use your mouth to say, okay, I know which one is my punishment, let me do it. And when you do it, all of us will laugh like a family, because it is fair, it is just, it is transparent.
Yes.
If we begin to build transparency into our system, consciously, it will not begin to leave our leaders in precarious situation.
Okay.
I don't want to discount the fact that there may be national security issues involved in why he is being held.
Okay.
But even where there are national security issues, like the CIA, they have a lot of black ops, but they have committees in their Senate or whatever it is their parliament is,
where somebody will go and sit before,
that also investigate this issue. And these are representative of the people whom the people trust. So you see, there is an existing process. It sort of exonerates the president. It's not this man that is holding me. The system has how it works. The system is working on its own.
But is that what we have now? What you described now? You know, is that what we have in the case of?
I wouldn't be able to tell you a yes or no, because I haven't been there before. But what I can tell you is that that is not what most Nigerians think is happening. Because there is no well-established procedure that is well-publicized, at least to the people who should know, to be putting it out there today to say, look, when this kind of thing happens to a person in XYZ position, if XYZ is related to national issue, this XYZ body is saddled with responsibility. And as much as I know, that body is currently at this stage of that investigation.
Thank you. But I think you said earlier that all of these have implications for the country and for the office. You know, I think it also has for the incoming leader. You know, the next EFCC chair. But just before you answer that, it's good to remind our viewers that this is Sunday Politics, where we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. And tonight we're talking about the appointment of the new chairman of the EFCC. You can join us in this discussion when our phone lines open any minute from now by making a call to ask a question or, in fact, make a contribution. When you call, please tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then you can go ahead and ask a question or just make a contribution. But only remember to turn down the volume of your TV set so that all of us and the rest of the country can hear you clearly. So, Mr. Kamar, let me come back to you. What does all of these things mean for the incoming chair of the FCC? Because there is some sense of weirdness, of something not being all right, you know, to say that I am succeeding somebody in an office when the person I'm succeeding cannot even be seen. It's not even there. It's not heard of. It's not seen in public. You know, he's in detention, you know, and no one knows fully well for what reasons he's in detention. That information, at least, is not in the public domain. Maybe the new EFCC chair might know, but the information itself is not in the public. So what does this say? What would that mean to a new person assuming an office?
Well, I think for the new EFCC chairman, he's no stranger to the commission. And he has a lot of experience to learn from. I've been a former chief of staff at the commission and a former secretary at the commission. He knows maybe much more that some of us will know about the operation of EFCC as an insider. So Whatever we tell him now will only be a reminder. He has a lot of people to learn from the experiences by learning to do the thing. I mean, to do the right things. He should not pursue a political vendetta. He should not be seen to being used as a willing tool in the hands of politicians. And he should always ensure that the right things are done, because one day...
What confidence can anyone have to do the right thing when you know that the person who just sat on this seat before you is even nowhere to be found?
That's why I said that. For somebody like him, he is in a position to... because he's not an outsider, he has been an insider. Definitely for we that were outsiders, we think that it's going to be a kind of a demoralization. But I think even before he got the job, he was contacted, he was informed, so he knew what was going to be at stake before accepting the responsibility.
Thank you. Yes, we have a caller. Yes?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
I want to know, because the new former EFCC chairman was removed and detained.
Go ahead, yes.
And another one was appointed. My name is Malam Isa Mohamed Tage from Niger State.
Okay, Malam Isa, go ahead, yes.
I said new former EFCC chairman was removed.
Yes.
Another one was appointed.
Yes.
We want to know what offense did you committed?
Okay. So, what offense did he commit? Malam Isa from Niger State is asking.
Well, unfortunately, I am not sure he will get the answer from this studio.
Okay.
But I'm sure somebody watching might be able to give the answer.
Okay.
Because that's the same thing we are asking in the studio here.
Absolutely.
What offense did this man commit? Read it to him and charge him to court. And then let the court decide whether he deserves a bail or he should be remanded in custody. So I don't think Malam will be able to get a straightforward answer from here, because we are as lost as he is lost. I speak for myself, but maybe I think I speak for you guys too.
I think the information is not in public domain, you know, and it's a question that, just like Malam Isa, most Nigerians actually asking themselves. But to go back to the question, because our colleague here, Kamar, he said that the EFCC chair is well qualified. He has been there as secretary. He's been there as chief of staff to the former chairman Magu and all that. And yet, there have been questions around his qualifications, whether or not he's qualified for the role. The fact that he's not been in any of the law enforcement agencies. He's a lawyer for sure, but he has not worked for the EFCC itself as an insider. All his work there has been, you know, like, so some people are saying because of this, he's not exactly qualified to work in the EFCC.
You know, I did see...
As chairman, that is.
Yes, I did see a document that emanated along the line of... I did see a document that emanated along the line in the lifetime of EFCC that tried to streamline the qualification of those who should become the EFCC chairman. I am quite aware that they mentioned that a person that should be the chairman must have worked in any of the security agencies.
Yes.
And that, but then there was another aspect that the EFCC Academy, those who came through that also, could also be the chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay. But, you know, like I said, there's always a loophole. I listened to an argument by some legal luminary on another platform the other day, and they were quoting a clause that you can use to qualify this man to become the chairman.
Interesting.
And that is where my point will still go to how our laws are carved again. We don't close it down. We need to make it tight to say if A equal to X and X equal to Y, then it must be Z. so that people can't twist it. I mean, when you make this law, you should understand that we naturally will want to find loophole. That is how IT works. You build a software, you expect that people are going to try to hack it. So you hire the best of hackers to try to hack it. And any loophole they find, you block it. And that continuously happens. So why are we not doing that with our laws? You will see things scattered all over. The other time, under the former president, we had issue of one of his daughters using the president a jet from the presidential fleet, and we were discussing whether it is right or not. Then this one again, we had that the son of the current president used one of the fleet, and we were talking. But is there any document that say who can use what?
Yes.
We have been having this talk,
so that it can
but
be
we can clear this thing out. So why do we keep living loophole? You know, I'll give you another example again. There's a law in the National Assembly now that is trying to say that when a member of the House of Assembly, House of Rep, or Senate is demised or willingly resign, the party that first brought him to that seat should be given the power to nominate. And I say, what of the other side? When I am brought to power, because the argument is that the party sponsored him and won. They have a 4-year term to run in the name of that party. If you throw it open again for everybody to come in.
Call up. Yes, please.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then go ahead.
My name is Nuhu Ahmed. I'm calling from Bida, Niger State.
Okay, Nuhu Bida from Niger State. Go ahead.
I think one of the issues we have in this country is we like doing everything ceremonially.
Okay. The
appointment of the EFCC chairman and leaders like that has been made to be ceremonial. That is why every president will come right from Farida Waziri, Ibrahim Magu, Nuri Badu, getting to Abdurrahman Bawa. It has been the same story. So I think until as a nation we look at our institutions and we are ready to make things work, whatever we do is never going to work. This same EFCC president, mark my words, in the next few years he starts having controversies over his policies and things the way he does his things. I think as a country, like the analyst said, our laws, are not too clear, and then everybody starts to, I don't want to say misbehave, but then when there are loopholes, people always use them, and as Nigerians. So I think one of our problems is we like making just a ceremonial appointee president and chairman, and that is all. Our rules have to be clear, and people have to be ready to make sure things work in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdul from Bida. He's echoing the point that you are making. But Mr. Kamar, you are about the nearest thing to a lawyer in the studio right now. If I can, do you think that the man is qualified? That the appointment is not based on ceremonial or political considerations, just like our last caller said. Yes.
I've listened to different arguments on whether he's qualified or not. I've heard people say that because he's not a security officer, that he's not qualified. I've also listened to some senior advocates of Nigeria also arguing that he is also eminently qualified based on his experience as a former secretary of the commission, EFCC chairman, and being a legal practitioner, so that he's eminently qualified. I know that a human rights activist has gone to court, a lawyer has gone to court to challenge his appointment. I think if he pursues the case at the court, maybe the court will be able to make a pronouncement on whether he's qualified or not. Because all I know is that lawyers are never united in their opinions. That is why we always have cases in courts.
Yes.
So the controversy will still go on until maybe the court makes a pronouncement on this. So it does not matter what the side of arguments that one is, you will always have another person also taking a different position on the matter.
So what's your position on the matter?
Well, I can only base my position on Because even the provisions of the Constitution, they also test them to litmus test at the courts. When there is an ambiguity or it's an open-ended provision.
Mr. Kamara, do you think he's qualified or not? Because it's just us, you know. You are the closest person to a lawyer as we have here. So, do you think he's qualified or not?
In this situation, we have lawyers argue differently. Okay, well, I think I will go with those that said that he is qualified.
Good.
With his experience.
You know, because we have to settle that question to the listeners at home, even though they may have a different opinion. Yes?
I understood what he was doing.
Yes.
And I wasn't going to do your job for you.
Okay.
I was listening. No matter how you dance, you must come to this point.
Absolutely. Yes, your name and where you're calling from, and thank you for joining us on this discussion tonight on Sunday Politics on Trust TV. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Adamu. I'm calling from Maiduguri.
Adamu from
Maiduguri.
From Maiduguri. Please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So I was listening to the conversation.
Yeah.
And the issue of appointment in Nigeria has become more of political than doing the right thing for the country. In most cases, we appoint people based on interest. We don't look at the performance, what to do, and what to give for the country. So every time you come, each and every president comes with his or his own EFCC chairman. So it's just like a political organ made to just withhold from few other people. And then at the end of the day, another president will come and send the same aspect. So it's very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adamu from Maiduguri. It's very unfortunate. Again, re-emphasizing the point you raised earlier, which also brings us, you know, the question of what then does the new EFCC chair need to do in order, first of all, to clear all these clouds of ambiguity, clouds of uncertainty, and of charge by many callers, and many callers that he's for political purposes. What? Yes, please. We have another caller on the line. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then go straight into it and ask a question or make a contribution.
Good evening. My name is Honorable Iboko Sylvester. I'm calling from Abakaliki, Ebonyi State.
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Boko Sylvester. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my contribution is very simple. We are Nigerians, and Nigerians are being looked at today as a very lawless country, even those in authority do not respect the law. The EFCC Act stated explicitly that whoever is going to occupy that position must have gone through the regimented services. But today, because of politics, because of tribalism, people are saying that what is black is white, just to suit them. So that is what makes Nigeria laughing stock in the Committee of Nations. We are lawbreakers, we don't respect law. The law we made by ourselves, we break it. So how do you expect the international community to respect you? The issue of the EFCC chairman is explicitly stated in the EFCC Act. So why are you cutting corners just because it suits you? So I don't think we are doing ourselves any good. Same is happening here. What the INEC chairman said the other day in Kogi, that they are going to transmit the election results this time around.
By IRF.
What happened the other time? So, my brother, it's just a pity that we find ourselves where we are. We resign our faith to God. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sylvester from Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. That's an interesting take, isn't it? Particularly the comparison with INEC promising again that they are going to transmit results electronically to IRF, something which they promised earlier and landed themselves in a hot pot of soup. But does that not raise the issue of maybe some of our laws are too strict, that should it matter whether election the results of an election are declared electronically or just by paper. After all, you can do exam either by internet-based test, or you can do it in writing. It's the same exam. Or should it matter whether somebody must work in the police or security agencies before they can be appointed? Many people can be experts in fighting corruption without having to be in the police.
Yes, but you see, that is not the problem.
Okay.
The problem is not whether a man who becomes the EFCC chairman can be effective and efficient, whether he is from the regimented service or from no service at all.
Interesting.
The question is, what has the act said? The spirit that put the act together, I mean the intention, had something in mind. There was a certain kind of study of the fight against corruption, and it was assumed that certain experience would be required as a basis in order for you to even understand that fight. So in that spirit, they say, let anybody who head this organization...
If that is correct,
yes.
Now that we know that assumption you make now,
yes.
Or presumption by
it's an assumption,
yes. It's presumption by sections of the law,
yes.
which requires that somebody has some experience in law enforcement. If that is correct, what does it mean for the new FCC chair? Now that we know that nothing in his CV, nothing in his experience says that he's worked in, he's had those experiences before, save for the fact of being chief of staff and administrative secretary to the EFCC. Does it mean that he's going to be inadequate or handicapped, in doing his job? Yes.
If that assumption,
yes,
for putting the act together, if the assumption I made,
yes,
is the same assumption that was used to put the act together, by that same assumption, it will mean that this head will be considered inadequate.
Yes.
But that is vastly and drastically different from reality.
Okay.
Because it is also possible that even though the man has not enrolled into the regimented services, by being around the regimented services, he must have also learned enough to be able to do what the spirit of the act expect the person who holds that office to be able to do.
Thank you. But we're just lining a few more minutes ahead for this program. So what does the new chair, what is the greatest challenge of fighting corruption in Nigeria that the new EFCC chairman needs to tackle headlong, needs to just get on with if he comes to office?
Well, I think when he appeared for the screening, he mentioned 3 focal areas, which I think should be his priority areas. Like he said, he was going to focus on the mandate of the EFCC, and he's going to be in pursuit of transparency and accountability, and build the image of Nigeria. Yes. These are 3 good focal areas, but it should go beyond mere expressing this before the lawmakers. It should put action to his words by ensuring that the focal...
We have another caller. Okay. Yes, please.
Hello.
Hello, yes, we can hear you. Tell us your name and where you are calling from, please.
I'm Agada Adechi from Katsina.
Agada from Katsina. Go ahead, please. Yes.
As regards setting an agenda for the new EFCC chairman,
yes,
I think if going by what we listen to on the floor of the National Assembly, the cash transfer that they said they were doing, they said when they went to phone the names of those that the numbers that were given to them, they randomly selected some numbers, and it was surprising to the numbers that were called that they never benefited. And if this money went through the banks, and we have biometric and these BVN numbers for those who collected this money, I think they should be pursued. They should be followed up, because what they are saying on the national television is something that is being looked at worldwide. So they look at Nigeria as a center of corruption. If such people can be brought to book, then, and it is even announced or seen on the national television, then they can say that he's doing something. And this issue of ghost workers, to talk of ghost workers, they discover ghost workers in four places, and then this money pass through the bank, and nobody is ever apprehended. All these things are things that should be followed up, so that they know that he is out to work. There should be no scapegoat. Whether it should not just the issue of talking and then they're not doing it. No party affiliation, even those that are in the system now, that they have bad records traced to them, they should be called to step out of that office, and then let it give us a good name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agaba from Katsina. I'm sorry, viewers. I'm having a very terrible cold. Yes. Sorry. So, thank you. So, Mr. Wilson, what he's saying raised one question, which is probably about the last thing we'll get to talk about before the program rolls down. What can he do, if you were the new EFCC chair? What would you do? Do you want me to reassure Nigerians, to breathe confidence into the office and into the public about your job?
You see, I could give you two answers. One, a political answer. Yes. That will be politically correct. Another, an answer of how I feel. I like to tackle issues from the root. If the manner of his appointment is in contention, that in itself has nullified whatever effort he's going to try to make himself acceptable and the work he does acceptable to some segment of people. And that for me is not good for a democracy. So if the EFCC chairman is going to be believable, is going to be acceptable, and his work to be acceptable, the manner in which he comes in should be clarified. And if I were in position too, I would try to avoid anything that would generate avoidable controversies. If there are people who have the same capability and certain level of loyalty that meets this criteria squarely, I put those people there. A person doesn't have to be head of EFCC before he can help the head of EFCC. That is where it will start from. Credibility will start from there.
You're saying that anyone whose appointment could have been this ambiguous should not have been appointed in the first place.
Because that is where the story of credibility will start from. If not, if he goes ahead, no matter what he does, a certain segment is always going to say, you came in through the back door, or you came in through controversy. It is also important that he mentioned the legal issue.
Thank you. We have just about 1 minute. So how do you react to that? Because many Nigerians will consider that an important point. What's your reaction?
Well, I think he has a plus to his side because having been the chief of staff and secretary of the commission, nobody has come out to say that he has baggages, that he has been found to be corrupt. So what we would need as the EFCC chairman was somebody who can vouch for his integrity. We know he's going to be able to do the right thing. And as for the agenda, I think he should start with the subsidy regime, which has put us in this economic quagmire. He should start with that. If he can sanitize because it's because of the fear, we are running away from the problems of subsidy. That is why we are finding ourselves in this abrupt removal of the subsidy regime. So if he's able to do that, I think it will restore the confidence of Nigerians in him.
Thank you. If he's able to do that, it will restore the confidence of Nigerians to his office and his job. This is where we draw the line. We draw the curtain for today's program, today's edition of Sunday Politics on Trust TV. Thank you for joining us and for joining in with your contributions and questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson Agaba.
Thank you
for joining the show. Thank you, Mr. Kamar Ogundele, also for joining the show. And thank you, viewers, for joining us. Please join us again next week when we bring you another edition of Sunday Politics, where you have your say on all political matters, foreign or domestic. My name is Suleiman Suleiman. Good night.